Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Yeah. Blackjack. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
I gotta ask you this, on the strength of what it is. So Tupac, he releases "Hit 'Em Up." What do you think about that song? What do you think about that song ultimately? Is it the best? Is it the best diss song ever?
Oh yeah, it's
What do you feel?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if I think it's definitely one of the coldest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
One of the cold. Because it's really Pac's verse that's like really so potent. I mean, the other guys on it, I can't think of the names on the top of my head right now. But the other outlaws that was on it, they was cool, you know what I'm saying? But Pac should have been on that shit the whole thing.
The
You know
whole
what I'm
way.
saying?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should have just been him on it. You know what I'm saying? But I get it because he's always putting his peoples on and shit like
Right.
that. No, but it was a dope song. Of course, I think it's one of the best diss tracks of all time. It's definitely up there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Definitely the coldest, the most vicious. You know what I'm saying? The shit that was being said. You know, and a lot of it was true.
A lot of yeah, and like that's what I try to say. I mean, Tupac, he rarely rapped about stuff that was kind of false, or he would give you the story. He will give you a fable. He will let you know that's what that was, but and he can also pull from somebody else's lifestyle and write a song too. It didn't actually have to be something that he was actually going through in the situation from that perspective. So this other question right here, Keefy D. Keefy D. You know who Keefy D is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you first and foremost, because there's a lot of theories. And then Keefy D actually mentioned Puffy's name in this theory also, but I have my own thoughts about that. But I'm going to ask you. So who do you think killed your brother?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack there.
Right.
Right? Because of the sheer number of people involved.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a tough question, man. All these years, it's always been told that that dude, right, Orlando Anderson,
right,
was the trigger man, blah blah blah. Even had that cop who fucking like lost his job and dedicated the rest of his life to solving the Pac murder and shit like that.
You talking about Russell Poole?
Is that the white cop?
Yeah, Russell Poole, right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he was the only one, if I believe, who was like really investigating the shit hard like that. And his own police department wanted him to give that shit up. You know what I'm saying? But,
absolutely.
So I mean, and he said it was the guy, Orlando Anderson. But then over the years, I've heard other stories, you know what I'm saying? Like recently, somebody said well, you just hear stories over the years that it was somebody else. It wasn't actually Orlando Anderson, it was somebody else in the car.
Absolutely.
Well, let me just say this. What I do know, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what I do know is that there was 4 dudes in that car. There was 4 cats in that car. Orlando Anderson, Keefy D, and 2 other characters that I've only heard their names like once or twice.
Right.
But I know like the main players, Keefy D and Orlando Anderson, right? So anyway, that's what I know. I know that there was 4 individuals in that car. And one of them was responsible. One of them was the trigger man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I feel like over the years, honestly, it's gotten to a point where it's like, it doesn't even matter anymore who specifically was. I'm more interested and intrigued about what led up to it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All the things behind the scenes. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's a lot to unpack, but if you know, like if you want to rewind it, what led up to that, you know, it's everybody knows the fight, right?
Right.
Pac and everybody, whatever. I guess somebody put something in Pac's ear that, oh, there go the dude right there, right? Supposedly this nigga he snatched his chain, whatever, the weeks before, somebody in Pac's camp, some shit like that, right?
Right.
Tried to snatch his death row chain. The chain got snatched, it didn't get snatched, whatever. But that's the setup for it, right? That's the reason why somebody put that shit in Pac's ear, like, oh, yo, there you go, right there.
Right.
Right. Which makes Pac take off, you know, which is another problem in itself because somebody should have been there to be like, you know, to hold them, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know.
So that's what, see, but now this is the thing, and I think that you're right on point when you say the things that led up to that, right? And so I go back to, and I just did a video recently about the security.
Right, that's another thing.
Right, the head of security was this guy by the name of Reggie Wright. You know, I don't know if you've ever heard him or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen a couple of videos of him.
Okay,
right, yeah.
so now, so with that being said, most people didn't know up until recently, Yaki Gaddafi's mom, Miss Yasmin Fula, right? I think she lives either in Jersey or New York. She was part of Tupac's company called Euthanasia. She was running everything. I think she was kind of like the president or something like that. Okay. And like you said, Tupac had found out about the malfeasance going on with his money. He wanted his money, the royalties and things like that. And there was this altercation that he had in regards to that. And he wanted to get his masters out the studio. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I've heard
he wanted to get his music. And the security guards stopped him from doing that. And Tupac was mad. So now what I get into is the fact that Tupac basically had fired Reggie Wright Jr. And so from that point on, I think it was a recipe for disaster, because first and foremost, Tupac is the biggest artist in the world, and when your main job is to secure him, right? He didn't, but he tried to make it seem as if he did. And even in New York, when they went to the MTV Music Awards, the security still worked for Death Row, but Tupac had fired them from being his personal security, right? But when you would still go to like Death Row functions, their job was still to cover him, right? So when you go to Vegas, I recently played the voice of Suge Knight basically saying that Tupac, he had called Reggie Wright Jr. and told Reggie Wright to send 5 more security guards, right? Reggie Wright Jr. never did that. He also said out of his own mouth, this is the guy who's ahead of Death Row. He also said that Reggie Wright Jr. had pulled the security off of Tupac that night. That's so it goes into what you're saying. It's what led up to it. That was the most important part for you. So what do you think about that? Like I say, Pac fired him, and I felt that there was some animosity there, if you will, you know?
Could have been, definitely. I wouldn't put it past nobody. You know what I'm saying? See, I didn't know those details. I didn't know that it was the Reggie White guy who was the head of security and who was the one that made the call to not have the security there. You know what I'm saying? But I knew, you know, over the years of seeing the documentaries and seeing the articles and reading and shit, I knew that there was something that went down. There was some kind of meeting that went down. And security was told to some shit like not bring their guns with them and, you know, all type of shit. And security not to be there. Basically have the night off, I guess, type of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I always thought that was suspect. There's a lot of that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of suspect shit, man, that went down.
Stuff, right.
A lot of suspect shit that went down that night. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So I got another question for you while you're there, because a lot of people, and what Suge saying, what he said in that interview that I played in the video prior, you know, people want to go back and listen to it. Do you think that Suge Knight had anything to do with the murder of Tupac Shakur, of your brother?
I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Okay, I'm gonna keep it real. Growing up, when I was little,
Right.
when it first happened, you know, because Pac died when I was 11. I'm
Right.
still a
Right.
kid. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Absolutely.
I heard the same conspiracy things as everybody else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That Suge was da, 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 da. You hear all the story. As I've gotten older and I've, like I said, got a better understanding, you know what I'm saying, of certain details and this and that, I understand that Suge was a bad character. And like I said, he was stealing money from Pac and whatnot, not, doing right business with them.
Right.
Um, it's kind of hard for me to say that he had something to do with it because I mean he was in the car. It's hard, you know what I'm saying?
Right. To make that
Uh,
accusation. Right.
right. I mean, there's so many ways, so many other ways to get rid of somebody or to pull a hit on somebody, and especially at this particular time when I mean Suge Knight, in all accounts, is like at the top of his power. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Suge Knight at that time could have got anybody touched. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to be in the car at the same time,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? That kind of is I never kind of like and then also I've never really seen or heard anything to make me kind of feel any different. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Um, I think people just are trying to connect dots because of the fact that they found out afterwards all the
Right.
shady dealings that he was doing and
Absolutely.
then that, oh look, you see, he was doing them wrong, so he probably was the one that got him killed. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
um,
these the coincidences that don't really match up,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
use it as a talking point, but it really doesn't add up. Like I said, me personally,
yeah,
I don't
right,
believe Suge Knight had nothing to do with that either. But like I said,
right,
once again, I do believe because Suge and Tupac was shot that night, I do believe that if the security was doing their job, like you said, there should have been somebody who was able to stop Tupac from even making that kind of move. That
right,
usually would
right,
have been
right,
security. There was, Tupac wasn't supposed to be even in the vicinity of anything like that. He was
right,
well way above that. And once again, so you go around the same thing that you were saying, sometimes, all company ain't good company, if you will, you know?
right,
So
right,
yeah,
exactly.
I totally agree with that. You know what I mean?
And
So
so, just like you said, I feel it's the same sentiment. Like, no, he probably wasn't directly involved. You know what I'm saying? To get Pac killed like that. But do I feel like being connected with Suge the way he was and as
right.
close as they got? I think that's what ultimately led to his death. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Absolutely.
said
Yeah,
before,
absolutely.
getting getting um getting immersed in that gang culture. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Um,
In the fight with
yeah,
Orlando. Yeah, in the fight with
yeah,
Orlando and all of that. That, like I said, once again, when you go back and we go back to New York, even with the situation involving the young lady and the accusations that she made, in regards to
right,
that were false. Something that led up to the ultimate coming under that death row umbrella, then ultimately led
right,
to, being in Vegas. Because, if not for that, the it's like the left turn, the right turn. And people like to say, well, if it was a fifth, I'd be drunk, if it would no, but we're talking about the actual things that actually happen, right? And
right,
that's how
right,
life goes. You know what I mean? There was nothing that anybody could have done that could have changed the trajectory of that night, what happened, how it happened, and so on and so forth. But I do
right,
believe if everybody was on their pivot and on their job, like I said, that was that totally was avoidable. But under the circumstances, it went down like it went down. So, yeah,
right.
yeah,
And then just to expand a little bit on that, that's why I said before, I kind of mentioned how this is the part where I started to get a little mad at Pac, you know what I'm saying,
right,
at my brother, you know what I'm
absolutely,
saying? Because it's like, you should have known better. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Being that being that you just got shot, you know what I'm saying? A year and some change ago,
like
you know
18 months ago. Right. Absolutely.
Right. You just got shot, nigga. Somebody just tried to take your life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, you should have been, and if he was alive, of course, you would agree. He should have been moving better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I said, he ain't got his bulletproof vest on.
Right.
That from what I always heard in different accounts and stories from people who was around him, that he always wore. You know what I'm saying? So it's just right. It's a lot of things that added up, the perfect storm. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I totally agree with you, man, on that. And that's the most important part. So I just wanted to get that from you. You know what I mean? Like I said, you know, Will Garland Jr. in the building. You know what I mean? Let the people know what you got going on, man.
Yeah, man. I've been working on music. I've been writing. I'm working on this mixtape with a brother I hooked up with, my boy Nolo Black, out in Toronto, Canada. You know, so shout out to him. And I'm working on a video right now. I'm trying to do a video for a single I'm about to put out.
Right.
And so so I'm just trying to.
So your thing, so it runs in the family. I like that. Will Garland Jr. in the house, in the building, hip hop, Monica name, 5 Faces. Look out for him. It's your boy DELRAY. Yeah, straight gang.